It's a privilege to be here today with Tomas Howlin for our Tango Wisdom Virtual Summit discussions on community. Welcome.
Hi, Judah. It's a pleasure to be here with you too.
Thank you. So Tomas, to start us off, what I'd really like to know is where you are, where you culturally grew up, and any other places that are significant to your perspective that you'll be sharing with us today.
Okay, I'm from Argentina. I grew up in Argentina. I am now living in Montreal, Canada. I started dancing tango in 1990 and have been dancing since. I learned and taught in Argentina, and in the year 2000 I left and moved to Canada. Before then, when I was living and teaching in Argentina, I would travel and tour and teach in Europe, the United States, and also Canada before moving. So I would say that my perspective is very much of an Argentine, but an Argentine that has lived abroad for many years. So I hope I'm a person that builds a bridge between the two cultures, mainly because of the last 10 years having been teaching in Europe. I would say that is North American. I teach about 2 weekends a month in the United States. So many of my students are there, and I hear their experience and perspective, and that's how I see tango now too.
Excellent. Good. So you have created something really unique for us today. So I would love for you to just delve right into that and share it, please.
Okay, it is true. Let me share the screen so everyone can see what I prepared. This is what I prepared for everyone watching today. I thought, building on your inspirational framework about the social dancer and the three connections, the connection to the floor, to the partner, and to the music, I like to take that beyond the social dancer and in the direction of the teacher's place and role in the tango community. I have been teaching tango for over 25 years already, had the privilege to teach in more than 10 countries during that time, and have witnessed the transition that took place from the traditional way of learning tango to the current system we use today. The institution of the tango teacher is relatively a recent phenomenon. The figure of the tango teacher as we know it today really began in the 80s. Before that, people learned differently, let's say more organically. So I would say that we're facing some modern challenges in tango. And this is the situation tango teachers are facing today. Work harder, right? Teaching tango is hard. Succeeding at teaching tango is also very hard to do. That's why I see that we don't have enough good teachers out there helping tango grow and helping tango develop. Contrary to popular belief, few tango dancers become teachers. It is true that many social dancers teach here and there, but very few have the courage and skill to become professionals or semi-professional teachers. What is happening is that dancers are intimidated to become teachers, mainly because of two things. One is the pressure, and two, the uncertainty that is involved in being a teacher, right? And this is something that I see when I travel. All pro and semi-pro teachers can feel this pressure in their communities and even on the dance floor. I believe that it's important to understand where this pressure is coming from so we can better help teachers in their process. I will give all of you a framework to think about this. Let's place the tango teacher within a map, what I call the tango ecosystem. That will help us get some perspective on some of these challenges teachers are facing today. First, tango teachers don't have just one role in a community, right? That is a misunderstanding. On a day-to-day basis, teachers usually assume anywhere from 2 to 7 interconnected roles, any of which presents many challenges. Let me give you an example. A tango teacher in a small community might wear the hat of social dancer, instructor, partner, community leader, DJ, host, cultural expert, and tour guide, to name a few. This teacher might wear all these hats at once, which is not an ideal fashion statement, right? And all working with what I call the ecosystem of a tango community, plus carrying all these roles in front of a live audience. All these roles or jobs create a lot of pressure on teachers. And this is due to the expectations that the community members place on them and the responsibility they, the teachers, take on when they assume each role. Often people have very high, unspoken expectations about their teachers, and that is felt by the teachers. And because their figure encompasses so many roles in their community, teachers want to meet these expectations, succeed, get more students, and gain respect for their efforts. When they realize about this dynamic, teachers get quickly overwhelmed by the situation, and they ask me what to focus on to be able to respond, and also to be better teachers. Some of the things they most often ask me are, should I be improving my own dancing or teaching skills? Should I up my promotion? Make a new website? Use social media more often? Maybe print more flyers? Get out more often? Travel and get to be known people in the wider tango community? Networking with other teachers. That's it, right? Becoming an organizer myself, DJing, etc. I get what they're going through, and I've been there too. And when they hit this point in the journey, it's quite hard to give them a focus. Because the truth is that they tend to focus on too many things at the same time. They end up doing a bit of everything and nothing too deeply. Which, by the way, is not their fault. They don't have much guidance out there or resources. It's hard to master so many skills at the same time, right? Some succeed at this multitasking and are able to develop a professional network that allows them to sustain their growth over time. Others simply burn out, get discouraged, and end up disappearing, quitting. When I coach people considering becoming teachers, I introduce a 3-step process that helps them get them started on the right foot. This is the 3-step process. We can go over it now together. First, it begins with finding your passion. Find what will fuel your journey. And the tricky thing here is that you have to be completely honest with yourself, and also to be patient. Sometimes you look and yet don't know what your passion is. You will not succeed, hear me, if you're not honest with yourself and follow your passion. So take some time here to figure that out. No need to rush this step. Second, I would say, once you've identified your passion in tango, develop a step-by-step plan that reflects that passion, that reflects your destination, and shows you a clear pathway to get where you want to go. And finally, identify the first actionable item and take action. Let me give you 2 examples. Your tango community really needs a teacher, okay? But when you think about it, you discover your passion to be really bringing people together and organizing events. So there you go. That's it. That is what may fuel your plan and the actions you will take. Or let's say you discover that your passion is becoming the best dancer you can be. And you are really teaching because you think that will advance your dancing. Well, Think about it. If you're honest about what makes a great dancer, you will agree with me that it involves mostly working on your technique and your leading and following skills, more than teaching other people how to tango. So beginning to teach will take time off from your dancing, more quality hours. Now, let's be realistic too, okay? Many people listening to this are part of smaller communities where they believe they need to teach, or otherwise tango will simply die in their community. And they might be thinking, this cannot be done, Tomas. They may have started to teach and are struggling with all the pressures we mentioned before. They may believe that they don't have the luxury of sticking to just one role. And if they were to do so, tango will not happen. This might sound extreme, but it's one of the realities I hear every day. So for those teachers out there who are faced with this situation, I will walk you through 3 basic assumptions that plague new teachers and how to think about them in, let's say, a different way. I find this exercise to be very useful. I call this process check your checklist, teacher. I developed this because I found that teachers would try to think constructively, but too quickly their checklists get sidetracked by these assumptions. Okay, here I go. First assumption, I have to do everything. Well, check your facts. Are you sure no one wants to team up with you? You might find out that you were mistaken and that there are people who can and want to help you. Second assumption, I can do everything. You see, if you do try to do everything, sooner or later you will run out of energy and resources. Believe me, you may end up in burnout or kill your passion. And third, I am alone. Listen, you're already dancing tango with other people in your community. You're not alone. That means that there are already people doing tango with you. Make a plan on how to get those people together working as a team. So if you are a tango teacher, I hope you gain some perspective. If you are a tango dancer benefiting from a teacher in your community, I hope this encourages you to step up and say thanks to that odd person with a pile of hats on their head. And now that I have talked about the serious stuff of what we need to do, don't walk away yet, okay? Let's talk about the fun stuff that I have also been consulted on. I'm very often consulted by teachers, but also event organizers, tango school directors, and DJs. And they are all very curious about how I manage to create such good ambience in my classes and the events I organize and host. I would say that my many years of experience in tango had shown me that being able to create good ambience is crucial. That when people don't feel good, safe, and embraced, things do not go well. Events feel heavy, festivals fall flat, classes feel difficult, and the majority of people leave thinking that, well, tango sucks. I have created a mini tango guide for community leaders. This is useful for teachers, but also organizers and DJs. If you wish, if this is a topic that interests you, you can go now and get your copy by following this link. Enter your email address and I will send you a copy, all free of charge. I hope you have found this material helpful, and if everyone wants to follow the conversation, you can reach me through my website at tomastango.com. Okay, let me stop this and get back to you. Hi.
Thank you. That was fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So you started, Tomas, kind of talking about the teacher phenomenon being something that came about more recent in the 80s. Can you speak a little bit to that process, just to help us understand a little bit more of the cultural growth that tango has come to bring us to where we are today in the realm of teaching, learning, and how we ended up here today?
Yeah, exactly. Most, I would say, if not all, the majority of people that arrive to tango today, they find themselves, if they're not, if it's a show in a theater, they will show up to a tango class or to a tango event where there's certain established figures. Let's say it's a class. So you find a teacher, and the teacher is more similar to the teacher figure you will find also in a different class, any other dance class or a yoga class or a Pilates class or any other class that you might have attended in the past. Some teachers are even similar to a school teacher. You go to a school and there's other classes and you show up to the tango class. That figure that most of the people listening now may find didn't exist even when I started dancing in the 90s. That is something that we have today established, and we assume it was always like that. And that's how tango worked, and it's not true. That started basically to give you a time frame when the tango came back. So some people call it the resurrection of tango or the renaissance of tango, or the new golden era, or the new tango. I'm sure that most of you know that, let's say, in tango gets a lot smaller, almost disappears in Argentina in the late 50s. It starts slowing down in 1855 and comes back abroad and in Argentina in the 80s, early 80s. So those who did tango, but anybody else in Argentina or abroad who were interested in doing tango, they thought, well, I want to learn tango, and there were no teachers basically. So slowly that figure started developing, first with the milongueros, so that stepped up and were willing to help teach, show tango, as they will say, and later with a more structured teacher we have today in the schools.
So previous to the 50s, basically people are just going to the milongas, watching and learning based off of practice, possibly mentors. I don't know. I'm curious about the, becoming a teacher or learning tango as a mentor. It's good to have a mentor to learn from. Yes. And to, you're looked at as a mentor for teachers, and bringing forth, all of your wisdom in a curriculum that I don't see anywhere else. Could you speak to what you're creating in going around and helping people be teachers as a mentor?
Yeah, that's the main point. I think you nailed it. The idea that people before learned the tango with a mentor or with what now we call a mentoring structure. So most people really didn't learn tango; they just do tango. When we think about a tango dancer now, is somebody who is familiar with a certain structure and amount of elements in tango. I would say that the majority of people in the golden era knew probably 1/10 of the steps anybody listening to this knows now. Most people approach tango as a social experience. And anybody interested in doing more tango, getting better or dancing like another person would be exactly mentored by another dancer. And that happened in what we called the practicas, which is gatherings at the community centers, right? That model is gone. So anybody that arrives is mostly gone, I would say. Anybody that who arrives to learn tango is very separated from the teacher. Is more a service culture where somebody shows up, pays a certain amount of money, and expects a performance or information to get to them. And there's not really any more personal contact than that. Because the process of the mentoring is gone, I find that a lot of the value and potency of tango is getting lost. And that's why I like in all my teaching to be mostly experiential classes. That's how the words we would use today. They're not so much of a presentation of information, but an experiential class. That's how I mentor a crowd. And I also train and coach teachers individually. I travel and I see teachers and I meet with them, or we do classes and we have a conversation. I sometimes have a teacher assistant project, which is a program where I travel, and outside of the workshops, I have teachers that train with me and they will assist me in class. So they don't only see me teach in real time, and they already know what I'm going to do. So they get kind of the back information, why I do this step or why I don't do that step, or how I structure the class. And they get all the staging that I do. And also they get a lot of one-on-one interaction with me to ask me questions and to discuss about the, let's call it, the scenarios that they will meet when they get back home, right? Mm-hmm. So it's mentoring, absolutely.
Yeah. And like an organic process as well. So I think it's a fascinating piece of taking a structure such as a teacher training, right? There's a certain curriculum and things that any teacher trainer will do that can help people become a teacher. And you're speaking of experiential, which is like structure, freedom inside of structure. And I think those values are really important. So in community building, I see tango as a place where we have these codes and these values that protect what the essence of tango is. So I'm wondering if you could speak to, the way that teachers can work together in a community, in a collaborative process of maybe differing methods, but to work together, holding those codes and values to protect tango as we love it.
Yeah, absolutely. The codes and values is another very interesting conversation, as much as mentoring. As I said, tango to really grow and shine needs to be a mentoring process, meaning that simply you have a much closer relationship with the person you want to learn from. It's not this separate entity. And I would say that is the same thing that's happening with the codes. Over the transcultural immigration of tango, we hear a lot about the codes. And I tend to think that that's a perfect word that will separate people. Because if it's a code, first, you don't have any role in it. Second, it's coming from a hidden source. That could be like a sacred book or a sacred person that apparently said this and that. And then if you break the code, or if you miss the code or misunderstand the code, you're in big trouble. So that terrifies people and separates people and creates a power dynamic that is, I find, often not helpful to build a community. It's a way to create authority and separation. So I often will describe what we as Argentines call the codes as rules for my North American public, okay? Rules of a game. Think about rules of a game. What happens if you meet with a bunch of people, okay? And you want to play a game? Somebody is going to discuss with the other people the rules of the game. Mostly the rules of the game, let's say, of making a potluck all together, came from the wisdom of, we've been doing potlucks for this amount of time. And any suggestion about how to make that game of build a meal is very welcomed, if it makes sense. So you will say, hey guys, why don't we put another table there? And people say, why? So we don't have all the stuff on the counter, for example. Most people that I hear talk about the codes don't relate to that as rules of a game. They don't relate as an opportunity for exchange and conversation. So, looping down to your question, they wouldn't dare to meet with other teachers and discuss anything because there's nothing in Argentine Tango that is open to discussion. There's nothing that is open to renewal or change. Mostly in these times, what happened is after the new tango explosion that happened in the 90s, now we're rolling back. So people are in what I call the vintage era. So everybody wants to be just like in the 40s. Can we be in the 40s again? So get the right outfits and wear ties again and do it right when nobody was there to tell us if you're doing it right, okay? There's like 3 people alive that really dance in the 40s, not heard stories about the 40s, okay? So we are disoriented and confused. I encourage the teachers in the community because really this is speaking, I find that what you're doing is speaking to people that are in a community, they are not in Argentina, they might be in Argentina, but they are thinking, how do I work with this person in my community? How do I work with that person that lives a couple of hours away? And to meet and think creatively instead of importing codes in posters, read whatever codes they get and meet with each other and think if they make sense or if they even understand what these codes mean and see them as rules of a game that ideally will get whoever you as a teacher, as an organizer meet excited to do, like rules of a game to make a potluck. That's exciting. I'm going to eat lots of good food. I want to talk about this. Codes that can be broken and it can be in trouble. It's way more fun to go to the salsa class, which has like no codes, or to the swing class that is our North American culture, so it's hard to break what belongs to us. And I find that makes a lot of teachers and dancers quit because it's too hard and it's too foreign.
So being that the codes are the rules of the game, and as far as I'm concerned, a game isn't worth playing unless you know the rules and you can break them appropriately. Is it essentially like how do you have that conversation with various teachers? You know, how do you establish it as a community, or do you establish it as, well, here we have these codes and here we have these codes, and the teachers of those various places or organizers take the responsibility to make sure that people are aware of those?
Yes, I find that unfortunately that's what happens most often. Somebody very excited and very positive travels to Argentina or just studies around here and comes with this, let's say, book of rules or codes, and very quickly is established a power dynamic, a status. Who work really hard to get these codes or rules, I'm going to tell you, grown-ups, often older than me, how things are. And that pisses off people. It shuts down people and create makes people create stone walls on you. It's very hard for a group of grown-ups, which even if you are my teacher in my community, I saw you starting a few years ago. So I knew you didn't know anything about tango. And now you're coming with this Argentine rule about how I should do things. Who are you? I might agree that you are a better dancer than me, but that doesn't make you my authority figure. So I would encourage people to break the idea that you are the one telling people what to do. That's the new model, you see. I know, you don't know. I'm the teacher at the front of a passive room who is going to tell you how to do things, and you're going to shut up. That is normally very negative. And people try it all the time. I'm sure that anybody listening to this has tried that, and it sounds familiar. If you haven't done it, you've got somebody in your community that has that attitude of, no, this is how things are. Oh, you're not wearing a jacket. You're pissing me off. Something like that. So I encourage first to not take the spot. I'm authority. I'm going to tell you. I'm coming here to share these rules that are super cool, and I think you like them. I studied all this, so I deserve respect, but I'm not your boss or your authority figure. And also to, and this is crucial, to heighten the engagement of the people in your community. So if you're calling people to tell them what to do, they're probably not going to be very excited about that. Nobody's excited to be called to listen, to shut up and follow rules. This is tango. They're there to have fun, to connect, to dance, for crying out loud, right? So maybe, I don't like to use this word a lot, but it's empowering your people, right? Like telling them, we're a group of people. You are the person that is at the door. You are the person that helps me park the car. You are the person that dances every day. You are my favorite partner. When these people in your community, what I was saying early on, I'm alone, right? You're not alone, have roles, they have power. They are somebody in your community. So it's a lot easier to share the cause, and we all agree that the cause makes sense from people that have some level of power, and maybe collaborate with the cause and said, well, that code, let's phrase it this way. Let's make it that way, or let's get rid of that altogether. You know, like dancing with shorts in our town is totally okay, guys. You know, or playing that, you know, music that shouldn't be played in our town is fine, because Jimmy and Jennifer and Robert, they go out dancing, and we're actually 4 people. So with another 3 people, it'll be great. And that's how I will bring people in my community together in a more collaborative way, more than try to replicate something that might look ideal in Argentina or in some other city, but is very much a hard leap to take when you're starting.
Empowering your community and other people certainly takes some of that pressure off of the teacher, as we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like when you accept in a community that certain things are okay, you know, and that we can do it here, I've seen people go to other places, say other countries, and say, well, we do it this way over here. And then they try to impose that on that location. And that can create a lot of strife as well. So how would you, you know, advise somebody that maybe would naturally go in that direction of saying, well, we do it this way over here? How would someone approach a community so that they don't create a foreigner's imposition on an existing community?
Yeah, totally. That's a very good question. Often in a situation like that, I tend to say, in whichever place of the equation you are, right? How you are a grown up, okay? You're already dancing tango a lot or a little. You already have a profession. You have a life. How would you feel about a situation like this outside of tango? How would you feel you will respond or react to the situation when it's outside of tango? So how would it feel like you're parking your car here and somebody comes out of the street? It's in your neighborhood. You've seen them. They are look familiar and they say hi in not even welcome. Now that you're in our neighborhood, this is how we park in our town. How would you relate to that neighbor? You just can't wait to run home and tell your friends, your husband, your wife, you need to listen to this. This guy approached me, or this lady approached me and told me this is how we do things here. It will be even funny, right? You wouldn't even get angry at that. This is how we park our car. This is how things are done in this neighborhood. I just moved. You're not getting any of my Christmas cookies. Everybody else in the neighborhood are getting the cookies. That if you take it out of context, it doesn't make any sense. And suddenly in tango, it does make sense. So I show up and I say, in our town, an hour away from here, this is how we place the tables. Hi, and you will go embarrassment, anger, or whatever. Like, excuse me? Okay, thank you. This is how we do it here. It makes you react with the same energy, right? It makes you respond with the same energy, which is what? Opposition. Huh, you're going to tell me instead of, hey, this is interesting. I give you a different scenario, okay? That's interesting you put the tables here. You know, I live a few hours away here, and I found that and get excited. And I found that when you just have round tables, people is better than square tables because nobody wants to sit in the corners. Have you thought about getting a couple of round tables? Makes people face each other more and they'll talk. And when they talk, maybe they get like better dances. Really? How did you figure that out? Oh, I saw it in a documentary about Argentina. They have round tables, man. Here we have square tables. Ridiculous. I just spent $40 and I got blah, 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 blah. Wouldn't that engage you to listen to me for another 4 hours? And what else do you do? Where do you park your car? Which car do you buy, right? It's like all these ideas that I think that will be much more welcome rather than this is how we do things. People are very passionate about what they learn in Argentina or they learn from some other teacher in the town. So often when you're passionate, it's very hard to have the perspective to take the right attitude to approach somebody else. So I understand that it's easy for me to see this and to say this, but for anybody else that I go, oh, that's fine for Tomas because he's funny and he can tell people and be creative, make stuff up. To always do that. I want to tell you this. I want to tell you which shoes you should wear or how you put your arm or whatever. You take a step out. How would I approach my neighbor? How would I approach my friend? How would I tell this to somebody at the supermarket? You're more likely to get more results and positive interactions when you use the resources you already have because you already know how to talk to people, and don't switch to this tango mind that I see often that is more patronizing or status-based. I'm here to tell you, to make you right because you're wrong. And I'm going to do this to you. I hope I didn't poke your eye.
I got glasses on. I'm okay.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. Oh, yeah, it was a little extreme. Sorry.
So you're saying a lot to, ask questions. Don't be so finger pointing. And, as a social dancer, or as a teacher, sometimes you come across people that you would like to give little bits of advice to, right? And so I find that oftentimes the people that have the most to say about how things should be are sometimes the ones you should listen to the less, because the ones that really know what they're talking about are going to be softer spoken. So how do you deal with somebody, say on the dance floor, I'm social dancing, and someone is telling me that I should fix this or that I should do that? From my perspective, I'm not enjoying myself at that moment. What do I do? How do I handle that?
Oh yeah, that's super, super hard. Especially because it hurts. It doesn't matter who tells you something about your hair or your shoes or the way you whatever, it hurts. It hurts. If it doesn't hurt, you feel like irritation. If not, you will stop listening and you will shut down and go, well, it really doesn't matter what it is. It's just the moment is awful for anybody. I believe anybody listening to this knows, and probably the public you have, or the public that is interested in this knows that don't do that, okay? Unrequested feedback hurts. It doesn't matter how right and wrong it is, it hurts. So on the floor, you shut up, you dance. It's called the dance floor, not the talk floor. But you can talk about anything else. Anything else. You're a grown-up, make up anything, or don't talk. But criticizing or speaking about the other, or even yourself, hi, I'm an amazing dancer. is not what you should do. So I think that anybody listening to this knows that already. So you're asking me about what if somebody doesn't know that. Number one, I know tons of people that know this and still do it, okay? I know tons of people over dinners that tell me, oh, no, we don't talk on the phone. Oh, no, I never. And I see them with my eyes saying, hey, Jennifer, hey, that tense shoulder, huh? You know, I see it all the time. They don't follow their own advice, and they don't understand how damaging that is for themselves, because then everybody hates them and they avoid them, for the person there and the community, etc., etc. If you're on the other side of this equation, so if we turn it around and you receive this and you say, like, I'm the soft-spoken, yeah, I would just get this person, that person telling me stuff. What do I do? See if you can find your best being and change altitude and move away from that. Again, it might be easy for me. Somebody tell me, excuse me, and I say, what? You know, because I've been dancing for so many years, so I can change altitude very easily. I have enough experience to know what has value and what doesn't have value, and take it in a different way. What's your best being will do? So depending on the person will be different. When you say your best, you will do what? Go, thank you very much. I'll think about it. And blink like 3 times, and we keep dancing. Or, really? I never noticed that. I gotta pee, and you just dash out, right? So that could be me. That's like the funny me. It's like, really, this is not really happening. If I don't laugh, I cry, or I leave, or I quit tango. Or your best being is different. You know what? I understand. This could be a different scenario. I understand you want to give me like good feedback, but truly, when I'm dancing, I really want to dance and be fully honest, right? I really want to dance, and like, can we talk about my shoulder or my dress? After the time is over, we can sit over there and talk maybe, or the practice on Tuesday. But right now is not really what I'd like to do. And you can have that altitude and be, wow, an amazing person. Or third scenario, your attitude is like, will you shut up? Because you know that the person that told you is very aggressive. With this attitude, oh, that tense shoulder, Jennifer, right? They're being very aggressive. They're telling you, you suck, I don't. With the most biggest smile in the world, they're telling you, you're wrong, I'm right. And you can say, you shut up. I don't want to hear this. So you can take different responses according to what's your best being. That is not, I would say, attacking back or shutting down and going and getting scared, because that's not at a good moment for anybody.
True. So, Tomas, in coming back to a teacher themselves, so in a small community, say you've got several different teachers, and some of them are, let's say, causing more problems than having more successes. Is there anything that other teachers can do? You know, maybe they don't really involve themselves much in the community, or they have students that they're not exposing to the larger community. And the dancers that are coming don't know how to dance. Is there anything that the other teachers or organizers or anybody can do to help with that?
Yes, I would say that you can do many things or not do anything, but it will depend on the problem. So when you say the problem that a teacher is becoming or is doing right now, becoming, you are a problem. It depends on the problem. It's like weather. It depends on the weather. Do you need a raincoat, or you need a hat, or you actually need shorts? It depends on the problem, because this is not the problem. This is the person behind the problem. And often a person carries other people next to them. So it's a community problem, and that escalates very quickly. So I would say that, yes, you can do many things, but I would be very careful to coach people differently and really ask more details about the problem, about the history of the problem too, and manage that very cautiously, one move at a time, and not just go looking at the chart. This is what you do or what you don't do, because let's put it this way. The last thing you want to do is divide the community, right? So you are 10 or 20, right? Or maybe even if you are 100, you say, we don't want like 50 and 50, which I see all the time. You know, we have a Milonga on Saturday and we don't like it. Let's open another one on Friday or on Saturday itself. So we have 50 and 50 people. We used to have Milonga with 100 and now we have two with 50. And 20 people don't go dancing because I don't want to I don't want to get into this fight. So then you have two Milongas with 20 people. That's the worst scenario. Shut you down. I killed you. You don't exist anymore. That's extreme. So we have to be careful so we don't fall too quickly into that you don't exist thing, and I'm going to do my own thing. And which are the things you have to do will depend on, again, the problem that the teacher is creating. The teacher, or sometimes it's an event organizer, it's not a teacher. Sometimes it's even a dancer that nobody wants on the floor. Nobody wants on the floor, literally. It doesn't have to be a teacher. Yeah.
Yeah. Guess there's no blanket answer, is there? You can't just give me the cure and I can inoculate something, or we can inoculate.
Wait, I could cure you. If you come closer again, I can cure you. You have to take those glasses off and I'll touch you, okay? You're healed. No, there's no cure because this is people. This is people and this is people problem. And again, go back to any other scenario. This guy, my neighbor across the street, when this is Canada, okay? When it snows, people behave, okay? There's stuff going on there. And how my neighbor treats snow and I treat snow is very different. So what you do is, no, you don't. It depends. Is he throwing the snow on my door, or he's just irritating me because he packs snow in a way that makes me angry? Or it depends. There's so many words for snow, right? It really depends on the scenario, and encourage the teachers to do what you mentioned before, to network and talk about it. Because you may hear that somebody says, oh, let them do what they do. It's just irritating you. And you go, oh, you're right. I don't have to dance with them or see that. Or somebody tell you, man, this is really serious. You've been abused. This person kicks you and you seem to be fine. Wait a minute, I'm going to help you. So you don't know which extreme you are. Is it really serious or not? Talk to other people. Talk to other teachers. Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah. So it comes down to a lot of like, be willing to have conversations.
Be willing to have the hard talk.
Yeah.
Because tango is such I roll back to what I said early on too. Foreign culture, adults in our culture here try to not bring in their people skills. I know a lot of people. I know them in class. They take private classes with me. I talk to people. I touch people. I know how they feel. They keep all those skills outside in the car. And when they come into the class, they wouldn't dare to say like, this is not fine. I'm not fine with this. Let's talk about this. Everybody's waiting for the rule book. That's why this code thing is so popular. And the codes are like 3, right? And people go like, where's the other pages? Where's the other pages? What do I do with this and that and that? Somebody needs to write these pages and wait long enough and some Argentine will do it, okay? So we might not see it, but the rule book will become, and tango might become a ruled dance, a coded dance. And instead of that, say like, do you need a rule to talk to people? How about you? You know how to talk to people. Give it a try. Maybe not at the milonga, as we said, but during the class, give it a try to talk to people instead of to accuse people or to just be angry and just, I'm not coming back there. I'm not coming back because everybody dances open embrace or everybody dances close embrace or whatever. So it boils down to be willing to have the conversations and finding your passion, okay? Maybe finding your passion is not having conversations, not dealing with organizing and being a teacher and just dancing. So maybe it's time to pull back and go, I don't want to talk to people. I just want to dance with A, B, and C and relax and step back. Or your passion is, I love talking to people. I've been holding this forever. I just want to go in and talk to A, B, and C, and I'm going to make a potluck, and we're going to be friends, and then that will give me a window to talk. Just go for it. Go for it. it'll make a huge difference instead of like do stuff before you talk to people or try to talk to people. And I'll give you a little tip here, okay? Typical tango problem, okay? Most tango people are shy people and not extroverted people. Extroverted people, we can move a lot and move our arms and extend our fingers and do stuff like that, but we cannot really look at people in the eye and talk, which is fine. This is the tango personality, which is okay with it. So many tango people with problems or opinions are going to do one, go into social media. So be anonymous, put a nice picture there and say this long thing, which is basically directed to Robert in my community, okay? Some people, it's like Robert in my community dances with the shorts and makes me so angry. I cannot take this anymore. It's just like, this is, this is wrong, okay? And write a huge post that engage a lot of people in it. Second, if they don't do that because they say like, well, I don't want to make this public, just do email. So don't converse through email, don't argue through email, don't get angry at the internet. It's not going to bring you anywhere. So if my problem is with somebody, pick up the phone and say, hey, Robert, how are you doing? And see what comes out, right? Talk to the person. If talking in person, like the practice is too hard, you pick up the phone or make a party. So Robert is around other people too. And you give it a try. Don't use email to send a long letter to Robert or to whoever the problem is. Don't use the social media when there's a problem. Use your human and your personal skills.
Absolutely. It's, email or putting out a social media blast, it, to me, is a very passive aggressive thing to do.
Bad is bad. Yeah, is that and or don't open a milonga, right? Or everybody's dancing the wrong way, whichever the wrong way is, okay? I'm going to open a milonga that is the right way. You're so angry or so passionate about what you want to do that you don't talk to anybody. You pay money, open a place, hire a DJ, and run a show that manifests all your frustration. Or some people, I know people like this that open the milonga to say, this is the so-and-so milonga where we do things this way. They'll open a school. I'm a teacher now. You're not really a teacher. You just want to tell all these people how wrong they are. Or a tango school and really dedicate tons of time and resources to managing a problem that could have been a lot simpler by talking to people and not going through such an investment.
And the intention of why we do something, whether it's organize, whether it's teach, that filters through the community and can either benefit or soil an entire community.
Exactly. If I'm speaking from the teacher, because that was a little bit of the idea of what I was going to do, speak as a teacher and speak to teachers, but everybody feels that. So the teacher feels the pressure. Everybody feels a different level of pressure, and I don't have to explain the pressures that a tango dancer feels. Everybody who dances tango knows, oh yeah, if it's not this, it's that. Everybody feels the pressure or the ambience, the texture of the energy. And it might feel like, I'm not coming back on Friday. I'm not doing this anymore. You don't even know what you're feeling. And you're just like, oh God, let's watch a movie next Friday. Or the opposite. Can you do this festival next weekend again? Not next year. Can you guys do this every weekend? Can you all move into my town and do a festival like this, or this party, or this milonga? Because you're awesome. This feels so good. And I don't know what is it. And, and nobody can point really to what it is, because it's hard to pick up this good ambience that builds when we do things differently.
Well, thank you for that, Tomas. And I look forward to reading, how to create a good ambiance. Thank you
Yes.
for that for us. So I want to, I want to wrap up, but, is there any last things that you want to tell people of how to find you, some things that you've got going on in the near future? What do you want to leave us with, Tomas?
anybody who wants to reach me, they can go to my website, tomastango.com. I have a schedule of my trips, my travels. I teach about every other weekend in the US. So I'll go from the West Coast to the East Coast, to the center, to the South, a little bit everywhere. I live in Montreal, so you can come and visit me. That's mostly what I do. I'm collaborating now with Luciana Vache, who is one of my first partners. And we're going to teach together in Austin, Texas at the Austin Spring Festival. And we might do other things together. And whichever other projects that I'm in, they are going to be available on my website. I'm very excited to launch a new project, but I won't say anything until it's actually ready to launch. And then as I ask everybody, I will rant on Facebook about it. This is the real thing, and I'm going to put it on Facebook. But yes, you can reach me on my website. You can send me a note, and we can email, or you can call me, or come and say hi when I teach.
Thank you so much. We're going to all be in anticipation to hear what this new thing that you have going on. All right, I'll be patient. Thank you so much, Tomas. This has been
It is a pleasure. It is a great pleasure. I think that this thing you're doing is very wonderful and courageous. And I think that is much needed in tango. This networking, the tango has grown so much that we are tending to disconnect. Because it grows, we feel that we're more connected, but we're more and more disconnected because we don't see each other. So listening to each other and giving a platform to hear what other people say, which is the project you're doing, is wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And for being a part.